My name is Eric, and for a long time, I was sure that I was one of the good guys. I was married to my college sweetheart, Lauren, a woman with whom I imagined a future full of happy memories. Our paths crossed in our senior year. She was fun, confident, determined, and could light up any room she walked into. I was a quiet engineering student who wanted to build a future for myself, both professionally and personally. Lauren was everything I wasn't: outgoing, attractive, and easy to get along with. And yet she chose me. Right after graduating from college, we rented an apartment and got married a year later, surrounded by family and friends. It was like a fairy tale. We bought a townhouse, got a dog named Max, and made plans for the future about children, trips to Europe, retirement in a house by the sea. We built a life, at least, that's what I thought. Lauren got a job at a fast-growing financial company, and I started working in a stable position at a good technology company. I was proud of her and myself. She was quickly climbing the career ladder. Late nights at the office became the norm, as did working dinners and overnight business trips. Her boss, Scott, was demanding but brilliant, she said. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? That's what love is all about, right? But things started to change. At first, it was little things: missed calls, short messages, a little more caution. Her phone suddenly became off limits. I laughed too loudly at her messages and tapped the screen when I walked by. I chalked it up to stress. Now she says she was just really busy at work. I didn't want to be the suspicious husband who questioned her about every late meeting or strange look. Then the distance appeared. Emotional distance. Our conversations became superficial. She looked at me differently. We grew apart, and intimacy was replaced by excuses. I'm tired, she would say, or I just had a hard day. I began to feel like a ghost in my own marriage, haunting the life of a woman whose face I happened to know as my wife's. But I kept waiting. I gave her space. I hoped it was just a phase. Until one night. Lauren came home early, unusually early. Her face was pale, her movements mechanical, and with a serious expression. She told me to sit down, which made my stomach instantly clench. I remember everything, their thoughts. The clock read 7:43 p.m. Max was sleeping at our feet. The living room was dark and sleepy, the warmth deceptive. Listen, I have something to tell you, she said in a trembling voice. And I ran through all the possible scenarios in my head. Illness? Job loss? Death in the family? I'm pregnant. My heart stopped for a moment. We had talked about children. I felt that our time had come. But she wasn't smiling. She wasn't looking me in the eyes. I don't think it's yours. It was like a bomb going off, destroying the fantasy of a perfect life. I froze, my mouth went dry. What do you mean? I replied, barely breathing. It's Scott's, she whispered. My boss. My world turned upside down. The walls closed in on me, and I had to remind myself to breathe. I looked at her, the woman I had married, the same woman who had once promised me eternal love, and I didn't know who she was. It wasn't intentional, she said. It just happened. Late at night, work, he listened when I felt lonely. One thing led to another. I didn't want to get involved. It was supposed to be just a mistake? I interrupted her. You cheated on me. With your boss. How long? She hesitated. A few months. A few months. A few months of lies. A few months of betrayal. A few months of waking up next to me with a secret that wasn't mine. I broke up with him, she said, tears streaming down her face. He doesn't want this damn baby. But I want to keep it. I sat there silently, my head spinning. My heart broke into a million pieces when she said the next sentence. I want us to raise this child together. I looked at her in amazement. She was serious. She really thought I would agree. To keep the child of the man who helped destroy our marriage. The audacity, the cruelty, the self-deception, it all came crashing down on me like a flood. You want me to raise a child for him? I asked, stunned. You always wanted to be a father, she whispered. And I don't want to do this alone. I stood up. I needed air. I needed space. I needed to leave before I said something unforgivable. That night, I left without saying a word, like a log, got in my car, and drove aimlessly until dawn. I cried. I screamed. I punched the steering wheel until my knuckles bled. It wasn't just physical betrayal, it was emotional, spiritual, complete betrayal. The next morning, she woke up on the couch, the same couch where she had destroyed my life. I didn't wake her up. I just couldn't look at her, I was beside myself. That same week, I filed for divorce. She didn't resist at first. I think she thought I would just cool off, forgive her, forget about it. Maybe she thought my love could make up for her mistake. But something inside me had died. I was broken into pieces, having lost my faith in myself and in the future. A few days later, she tried again. She came to me pregnant, with ultrasound pictures in her hands and her eyes swollen from crying. Please, Eric, she said. This child is part of me. Part of us. I know I ruined everything, but you wanted a child. Maybe we can pretend it's our child? Pretend? I snapped. You want me to lie to myself every day? You want me to hold a child in my arms and pretend it's the fruit of our love? No, Lauren. That's not the same as burning me at the stake and then demanding that I count the votes. She cried, and her sobs filled the room, but I felt no pain. My heart was numb. The trial was awful. Her lawyers tried to make it seem like she was mentally ill and I had abandoned her when she had a difficult birth. But the evidence was irrefutable: text messages between her and Scott, hotel receipts, emails full of flirtatious remarks. The lies didn't fool the judge. Not that Scott, being her boss and lover, lifted a finger to help her. He repeatedly denied paternity until a court-ordered DNA test proved the truth. Then he disappeared from her life. No calls, no visits, no involvement whatsoever. Just silence. She tried to sue him for child support. After several months of litigation, the court ordered him to pay. Nevertheless, his refusal broke her more than she could have imagined. In the end, she was fired. Not that she was fired specifically because of the affair, but in a corporate environment, things like that spread quickly. Her authority was tarnished. Her reputation was ruined. No company wanted a scandal. She went from being a golden girl to a cautionary tale. She returned to her mother, unable to pay for housing, find a job, or raise a child on her own. And me? I started all over again. It wasn't easy. 4 months, I suffered from insomnia, loneliness, and self-doubt. I questioned everything: my worth, my judgment, my ability to love again. I threw myself into work, ran long distances to clear my head, and started seeing a therapist. Therapy turned out to be much more effective than I could have hoped. It allowed me to grieve not just for the breakdown of my marriage, but for the life I thought was mine. It helped me let go of my anger and find peace through acceptance. It was a painful reminder that her choice was a reflection of her own failure, not mine. I met Claire about 2 years after my divorce. She was so kind, gentle, and genuine. I told her everything. No secrets, no masks. She listened, didn't judge, didn't pity. She simply witnessed the miracle of my recovery. We are still together, cautiously building something honest. That's something I never had with Lauren, even though I always thought I did. Lauren tried to contact me once. She wrote a letter, by hand, full of apologies, regrets, and not-so-subtle hope. I still dream about us, she wrote. It destroyed the only good thing she had. I wish you could see the baby, she said. I didn't respond. Some ghosts are better left hiding in the closet. And I learned one more thing from all of this, something that seems simple but is actually fundamental: trauma doesn't go away. What matters is how you rise above it. And I got up. Not bitter, not broken, just wiser. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. And I walked away. For myself. For my peace of mind. For my future. The end.